This band are from Toronto, Canada, and have been active since 2001 and are still going. They are described as hardcore punk and several other things. Their members tend to have pseudonyms that they go by, for example, 10,000 Marbles and Concentration Camp and Mustard Gas. They released their first album in 2006, and their sixth album was released in 2023. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the second album by the band, and it's my first encounter with them. So I'm coming to this completely fresh. And I'm going to just very quickly touch on why I'm not using the name of the band, because it's got a rude word in it. It's not that I'm hugely prudish about rude words, but I feel that I need to be somewhat careful with this channel and what I put in my videos. Not because they're made with underage people in mind at all, but because there is one thing about the channel which I do have as a constant thing that I'm battling with, which is about my use of copyright material. And so far, every single case and challenge that I've got has come through, and I've succeeded through in the end. I'm not counting my chickens on that. But because I'm kind of skirting the acceptability line on that somewhat, I feel the need to be careful about images and words and anything that might be overly gathering of criticism. Let's put it that way. So anyway, let's get into this album. So it starts with a nice little bit of a flute, just kind of meandering around. When my son heard it, he said it was kind of vague wandering around on a flute, and that's fine. But then we get into the thrashy punk sound and big, strong guitar noise. And then this is accompanied by very growly vocals, which sound to me like the sort of vocals that you often get on death metal, which are described as being unclean vocals. Okay, there are some other people who sing at various points on that, so there's various guests that come across. So that it is kind of strong, overdriven, rhythmic. It is kind of somewhere in the gap, I would say, between punk and metal. And some of this is, I would say, okay. Musically, I found it relatively interesting. I quite like the feel of some of the tracks. The first track in particular has a feel that I enjoyed. There's a couple of tracks that are more stripped back, that are instrumentals, that are quite interesting as well, quite atmospheric, particularly the first one of those. But the songs there are mostly in the kind of growling and thrashing area of music. So I was somewhat intrigued by the lyrics that I could hear and by the names of the tracks. I start to get intrigued when I hear or read religious imagery or allusions in there. And I particularly wanted to know, because I was getting the impression that they were coming across as quite strongly anti-Christian. This does happen. And so I went and looked up the lyrics. In fact, I got fascinated enough to look up the lyrics for all the tracks. Now, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that not all the listings of the lyrics that I've got were entirely accurate, because when I listened through, I did that in between the two listens, when I listened through the second time, I could definitely pick up some bits of lyrics that I hadn't found in the listings that I've got. So I've no idea how that happened. A lot of the lyrics are really hard to hear because of the style of the vocals. But the lyrics that I read had a general kind of feel of mystic imagery, a certain amount of rejection of organized religion. I've mentioned Christianity before. There's definitely some that is alluding to Christianity, and I don't think it's positive. But it's hard to tell because it's so kind of stream of consciousness kind of stuff. Also, I think there's bits not just about Christianity, but about other organised religions as well in there. There were bits in there that made me wonder if they were talking about Wiccan imagery, but I'm not hugely versed in that. Other than that, there's the stuff that I could make out and understand is I kind of gather there's a certain amount here about drugs and substances. And in fact, the name of the album, it's named after a book that's about hallucinogenic substances. So musically, it's all right. Lyrically, you can kind of hear some of it. It's weird and curious in some ways. Overall, I feel like I don't actually get it as an album or as music. I'm sure there are people who absolutely love this, and that's fine. I don't have any issue with anybody loving it. I just don't particularly myself. I don't hate it. I would think twice about where I would listen to it or in front of who, but that's just because of some of the nature of the content. There's quite a lot of swearing in it. So there we go. Yay, it was okay. That was my thought. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are, so please do talk to me through the comments box. That's it from me for now.